Vamos a empezar con un poquito de español. Mi nombre es Maya y hoy vamos a investigar los programas de inglés para los que hablan español a primer idioma aquí en Durango. Por muchos que están aquí escuchando no entienden más que unas palabras y quizás sienten como frustrado, pero para muchas personas viviendo aquí, eso es la realidad. Lo que yo quiero es vivir en un lugar donde las personas que no hablan inglés pueden vivir fácilmente y ser un parte de esta comunidad. Y yo creo que la mejor manera de empezar es con las escuelas de Durango. For those of you who are completely lost, hi, my name is Maya Zarlingo. By the way that I started my presentation, you may be able to guess what my senior project is about. However, my project is about way more than just Spanish. Imagine that I was talking about the fate of your children in terms of education, whether or not they'd be successful, whether or not they had friends, whether or not they'd been provided with equal opportunity. How would you feel if you couldn't be part of the conversation, if you didn't have a voice, if you couldn't advocate for your children? Due to language barriers, this is how many ELL parents feel, and I want to change that. So, for Senior Project, I researched how we can promote inclusion of ELL students, families, and cultures in Durango 9R. I have always believed in the power of diversity from the time I was a little girl. However, it wasn't until studying abroad my junior year that I realized the true value of diversity. I realized just how much we can learn from those who have different values, customs, and lifestyles than just the American way that I have become accustomed to. However, despite my passion for diversity, I was very ignorant to the diversity in Durango, and constantly had something to say about the whitewashed town that I live in. Upon creating my research question, I found I couldn't have been more wrong. There are over 200 ELL students in the Durango 9R school district. To give a brief description of ELL, it is a program to facilitate a supportive learning environment for students who do not speak English as a first language. This means providing tools to improve vocabulary, conversation skills, grammar structure, and so on. However, I identified an issue with the system, being how we, as English speakers, are representing the culture of non-native speakers. The answer provided by 9R Culture and Equity Director David Tanaka is minimally. Maria Miller, a Spanish teacher and ELL expert at Bayfield Elementary, first brought the issue of inclusivity to light during my interview that I conducted in hopes of providing clarity for what inclusion really means. When asked about the biggest challenges that ELL students faced, Maria said, "It is difficult to communicate with families. We have monolingual moms whose first language is not English. They want to come in and help and participate, but they just can't and they don't know how. Or our district sends out newsletters in English and the information is not being effectively relayed to parents who cannot read English." Libby Baumchen, from the Durango Adult Education Center, added to the case by mentioning how much adult ELL students have writing on learning English. I was even provided with the opportunity to observe the effort, devotion, and time that these students put into learning English while shadowing classes for the 3 days. Many students happen to be women with children enrolled in 9R, many who came to the States to provide better lives for their families. It is incredibly clear that they care deeply about their children and would like to be involved, as you can feel their passion radiate through the room. The drive and determination of these women is amazing, and for that reason, I wanted to be an advocate for these families. In doing research, I found that in supporting students and families comes supporting culture. In an article written by The Atlantic discussing the cost of English-only education, it states that students need to see themselves in school in order to excel academically. If there is a disconnect between students' home identities and what is being promoted by the school, students are likely to disconnect, disinvest, and experience educational failure. Lily Garcia, a fierce advocate for ELL, said that there is a profound lack of urgency and understanding in the way in which schools perceive and educate ELL students. These bright young people have so much to offer their schools and community, yet are all too often seen through a deficient lens. Too many are struggling in school when they should be soaring. If this is so, it greatly reflects on the success of ELL students in our district. Can we change the slide? I didn't get the
You can.
Got it.
I don't have the laser pointer. Sorry. This is so, it greatly reflects on the success of ELL students in the district, as seen on this graph. ELL students are not succeeding academically as educators may have hoped. In the first two graphs representing test performance and state accountability ratings, or the A3F scale, of elementary school ELL students, you may observe that the ratings in the past 3 years have stayed below the green line, or the line that represents meeting state standards. In the case of test performance levels, the data shows that in the subjects of math and English, ELL students do not meet state standards, but are approaching. This could be contributed to many factors. It could be lack of inclusion, lack of culture representation within curriculum, or something as simple as lack of teacher training. Which brings me to my proposal. Through my research, I found that the best way to include culture and ELL families in 9R is to implement dual language models into curriculum. The dual language model is a model in which students learn academic content in the partner language, such as Spanish, as well as in English. Two-way dual language models are made up of ELLs fluent in the partner language, as well as English-speaking peers. So, all of these students are able to participate, and not just ELL students. Studies show that two-language interaction is linked to numerous positive and long-term benefits, including stronger literacy skills, narrowing of achievement gaps, and higher graduation rates. Additionally, children who maintain their family language while learning a second language preserve important connections to grandparents and relatives. The preserved relationships provide love, support, and knowledge. Language also allows for the transmission of cultural knowledge, and contributes to positive identity formation and strengthens communities. Beyond familial relationships, being in command of more than one language also provides opportunities for more meaningful interactions around the globe, cultural awareness, and understanding. By fostering a connection to culture and heritage through schooling, there's a potential to then apply it to families. This proves that the dual language model not only addresses success of students, but also the role of parents and heritage, which also directly correspond to the success of students. The current model of ELL in Durango, while well-meaning, does not support ELL students in the way that they need to be supported, as seen by test scores. The current model is known as the ESL model, in which ELL students are pulled from classes every day to learn English. While it allows for tailored lessons, ELL students are segregated from their peers and are only provided full support for about 45 minutes every day. Upon interviewing the Director of Culture and Equity in Durango 9R, David Tanaka, I found that the school districts realize the benefit of dual language models. Tanaka even mentions that in the interview, the dual language model is clearly the best and most equitable model, and the district strives to achieve. However, he also acknowledged that the fact that this is a very hard program to staff, because in order to facilitate a bilingual environment, it is necessary to also have bilingual teachers, which are hard to come by. In fact, in a study done by NPR in 2016, they found that 32 states reported for not having enough teachers for ELL students, and that is without the bilingual education model. However, Mr. Tanaka believes that the real key to success of ELL students is having a teacher that is capable of making an impact on their life, bilingual or not. He says that if you take all instruction models and groupings out and put them side by side, nothing compares to a highly effective teacher. They get results even when you factor in lack of food, poverty, or minority. But one thing that could improve even highly effective teachers is to give them the tools to effectively teach ELL students. Tanaka says, we want to see all teachers possess a clear understanding of the support they are able to provide. So when students go into the classroom, they have some way to access the content. An idea came up during the interview, and it was to have one ELL teacher go around to all the schools and build capacity and train educators in the school. Tanaka says this would be even a better model than we have in place now. Though research proves that changes need to be made, there is still research that needs to be done, especially on a local level. It is hard to gain a deep and concrete understanding without being a part of the issue yourself. That being said, there is a simple solution to deeper understanding. In order to understand what needs to be changed in Durango 9R, it is essential to reach out and connect to ELL parents on a personal level. In the words of David Tanaka, It is funny we are not paying enough attention to family and school partnerships. It is a powerful and cheap area that we can pay attention to. By forging the bond between home and school, it may not only benefit families, but the success of students, and in turn, our district as a whole. Thank you.